Want to watch football without the restrictions of blackouts or cable? Check out expressvpn.com to help you get access to all the live games. Sign up today using the link in the description to get 3 free months. Yoda brothers, it's the director. Well, Chargers fans, I wouldn't put yesterday's game as my favorite ever watched for the Chargers. That was a bad one. It was certainly not a pleasant experience for Chargers fans. The Ravens putting up 34 points to the Chargers 6. Certainly one that I think a lot of us would rather have skipped. And today's video, we're going to kind of go over some of the things that maybe went down in that game and some of the things that maybe cost the Chargers a lot of momentum, I would say. This game really is built off emotion and momentum, and I feel like the Chargers really lost the battle early in this one in both aspects. Now, today's video is going to actually be a little bit different. I don't know if you guys can tell. I'm a little bit under the weather. Yesterday, I felt it coming on stream. I was like, uh-oh, here it comes. And now today, it is here. So we're going to be really relaxed with this one. We're going to talk, try and get out some of our frustrations and the things that we're hoping to see in this game that just did not happen, as well as what the Chargers can do to get better. As we know, we have the bye week coming up next week, and this gives the Chargers an opportunity to really regroup and assess what it is they need to do to attack the rest of this season. Now, before we, I actually wasn't going to do this, but before we really get into the nitty-gritty of this video, I need to remind Chargers fans that, you know, it's easy for games like this to really get you down as a fan, especially after, honestly, we got pretty used to winning. The Chargers had an absolutely fantastic performance in their first, cluster of games in the early part of the season, which we have to take as a victory in itself, okay? The Chargers being 4-2 at this point of the season is actually pretty dang good. If you guys watch my early prediction videos of the Chargers record, it was around 3-3, and that was me feeling optimistic. Now that the Chargers have gotten through the hardest part of their early schedule, I think the Chargers really have an opportunity to grab a nice winning streak with the remaining opponents that they have, and we will be going through a lot of that in this video as well. So before we do get started with this video, guys, hit us up with a like and sub if you do enjoy this content. Small amount of time you guys take to hit the like, sub, and bell notification helps me out a lot. Let's get into this one. Lights, camera, action! The Chargers at Ravens post-game report. We'll call this one an off day, the title of the episode. So, we had a bad day, Chargers fans. And again, like I stated at the top of the video, this isn't a like, oh, feel sorry for us, Chargers fan video. This is more of like, what can we do to get better? And what can we do to, honestly, let's get our frustrations down as a fan base in this video, guys. My comment section is wide open to you guys. If you have thoughts on the team and what they could have done better in this game and things they have to improve on before, coming out of our bye week, please share that information, those opinions in the comment section below. I do want to see them. But I also want to remind Chargers fans, something I say all the time in my streams and in these situations, which last season we had a lot of, is be mad today, bolt up tomorrow. We need time to process what just happened in yesterday's game, but I do also think the team more than ever needs our support, because coming out of a situation like that, the bye week being a great thing, but at the same time, they don't get an immediate opportunity to make up for the faults they had in yesterday's game. So they're going to need our support, and honestly, I think it's a good opportunity for the team to get better. Some would say maybe a humbling experience, that could be true, but more than anything, first-year coach in Brandon Staley, he's going to need these kinds of experiences in order to better himself. I think most people would agree. You get better by the trials that you overcome, not by the accomplishments you make, right? And I think that's definitely something the Chargers will be focusing in on yesterday's game. Now, taking a look at some of the stats here, okay, we'll kind of let this guide the video. A lot of times I have this really nice spread out presentation of graphics and stuff, and today, honestly, I was like, I just need to get on camera and talk, even if I feel kind of crummy, okay? So today, let's take a look at some of these stats. Now, all things considered, Justin Herbert didn't have the worst worst day. Of course, the interception, you don't like to see that, but the touchdown and 195 yards, not too bad. Still, Justin Herbert did see his share of struggles, and this is going to happen. Justin Herbert, is on pace for a ridiculous season, and even the best of the best quarterbacks, from the past, Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady, these guys will see their ups and downs throughout the season, and a lot of them, even Lamar Jackson, going on to win MVP. These are the kind of games that you're going to see in any given season. It does not mean the team is bad. The Chargers are still a very, very good football team. Their record is still very, very impressive. Regardless of what happened yesterday, the Chargers are still the top team in the AFC West. This game would have certainly given us maybe the top seat in the AFC as far as, after this week. But as of right now, the Chargers still atop the AFC West. They still have some momentum to work on. But this game is going to require some reassessment of how they attack maybe playoff caliber teams like Baltimore. We gave Baltimore a lot of praise coming into this game. I think rightfully so. And I told you guys in the game preview that Lamar Jackson was perhaps the quarterback I was the most worried about facing this season, and for good reason, because the Chargers' weakness, I would say, versus the run has definitely been exposed through the last 2, 3, 4 weeks. And Lamar Jackson and the Ravens' rushing attack is so much different than anything else that we were going to face that it would be almost impossible to contain. And we did see a lot of that on Sunday as well. But even given the victory, it's kind of crazy to see the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson's stats right here. 167 yards, a touchdown, 2 interceptions. I mean, on paper, it looks like a worse performance than Justin Herbert, but he did make up for it a lot through the ground game, too, adding another 50 yards on the ground. So that puts him over 200 on the day with a touchdown. Not too bad for Lamar Jackson, but certainly not the best. And in those aspects, I got to praise the Chargers and saying, hey, we did an okay job at limiting Lamar Jackson, just not good enough. And I think a lot of these points, you take a look at this score right here and you say to yourself, director, defensively, we had ourselves a pretty bad day. And honestly, you would be correct in that statement, but I'm thinking that number isn't quite accurate to the performance that I personally saw on Sunday. The defense is going to have a lot of problems. We're lacking a little bit of depth in some areas. Some areas, like middle linebacker, I felt that we were more than okay with Drew Tranquil and Kaiser White, and of course, Kenneth Murray. 2 of those guys go down, and all of a sudden the Chargers have a problem at middle linebacker. So this bye week is certainly coming at a good time where we're going to be able to get some of those players back. But still, the defense, the reason I'm saying the number is probably not super accurate is because of the situations that the defense was put in constantly throughout the game. We did see a couple of 4th down situations that the Chargers were not able to convert. And of course, the Ravens were working with short fields a lot of the time this game, whether it be from their awesome special teams that put them, I think, at one point at the 50-yard line, or the Chargers turning it over inside of our own 20 on a 4th down conversion that didn't go our way. The 4th and Staley mentality I still appreciate, and I want to see more of that. I think if it makes sense, that's something that you want to have, the courage to execute. And at the same time, I remember my personal reaction in that game, live in that game. I wasn't super comfortable with going for it inside our own 20. I thought that was just too much of a risk reward kind of thing. I'm like, I know that the offense is struggling. We need to give them some sort of momentum, but at that point, you're giving free points to the Baltimore Ravens, and they had opportunities like that all day. So given the situation that the defense was put in constantly throughout the game on Sunday, I think they did perform rather admirably. Now, it doesn't mean that they're immune to any criticism. They certainly did have a lot of problems in tackling. For some reason, Mike Davis was benched at some point in the game. I don't know if he was benched, but I just didn't see a lot of him in that game. And the Chargers did give up some big yards on the ground once again. 187 yards on the ground to the Chargers, 26 generated on the ground, which is really, really bad. And again, this is something I talked a lot about before the game even kicked off. The Ravens' rushing defense is really good, and the Chargers' rushing offense, not particularly great, more of like lower middle of the pack in the NFL. And what that kind of does is give the Chargers an opportunity to look at the team they're about to face and say, okay, how do we attack the Baltimore Ravens? They're not going to budge on the ground. And out of how many attempts did we see? 12 attempts only, so not a lot of opportunities on the ground. They did not really budge at all. But what we did see previous to this game was a weakness through the air. Now, the Ravens do have some very talented cornerbacks. You see Humphreys out there. You see Jimmy Smith. But they did lose Marcus Peters, and that was kind of the little Achilles heel where I'm like, okay, Brandon Staley, I'm sure he recognizes that as an opportunity to, get some points, to attack the Ravens and find some success offensively, because on the ground it's going to be very tough. You still want to remain physical. That's something that he talks about a lot. It's a very physical team you're dealing with in Baltimore, but at the same time, you got to be able to attack this team where they're going to give you an opportunity to score. And to me, before the game even started, I think Averett was the guy that I was hoping the Chargers would pick on a little bit in coverage. He's certainly not had a terrible year, but the Ravens coming into this game were the third worst defense versus the air in the NFL, and the Chargers were the third best offense in air efficiency as far as their passing attack. So I really felt that the Chargers had drawn something up to really exploit the Ravens through the air, not have to rely on the ground game as much, and find a way to score on this otherwise awesome defense. And we just really didn't see a lot of that on Sunday, and that's something that to me maybe was a little bit concerning. I saw a lot of criticism to Joe Lombardi, maybe even some of Brandon Staley in this game. And again, rightfully so. We're coming off a performance that needs a lot of work going into the future, but it does remain evident that maybe the game script coming into this game wasn't the best, or the game plan coming into this game wasn't the best approach. I don't know, man. I would have come out with maybe a completely different passing offensive attack, and we really didn't see a lot of that on Sunday. The drives, every offensive drive, it felt like was cut short. I think we had a time of possession's also a big reason why we lost this game. I think most of our drives lasted like 60, 90 seconds, 120 seconds if we were lucky, and that's not the way to attack a Baltimore Ravens defense. That's just not the way to do it. You want to generate first downs. You want to utilize the weapons you've got, especially through the air. In this game, if I were Joe Lombardi, and let's say I am him, and I've got all this experience with Alvin Kamara and these receiving backs, and I've got these amazing receivers and Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, and then these amazing tight ends and Parham and Cook, I would have drawn something up to really exploit the Ravens where, they're showing some weakness, and that was definitely through the pass. And I really felt that, especially given the weapon we have in Austin Eckler, we would have seen a lot more utilization on his side. Now, Austin Eckler, 4 for 48, definitely not a bad game for him as far as the receiving stats. But I think that could have very well been doubled. 8, receptions for almost 100 yards. That's the way I would have utilized him. This just speaks to me as a thing that was sort of working, right? Passing to Austin Eckler was kind of working. 48 yards off of 4 receptions is absolutely fantastic. Same thing with Keenan Allen. 5 receptions for 50 yards, an average of 10 per reception. That was working. And it's because I think most of the game, Humphreys, their best cornerback, was lined up against Mike Williams, who did get shut down in that game. 2 for 27, not great. What that does is allow you opportunities to pass to guys that don't have the best coverage on them. Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, they certainly showed potential to be the guys that we lean on this game. And I feel like for whatever reason, whether it be, I hate to use the word, but maybe stubbornness in sticking to their game plan, or trying to force a physical game by, running it a bunch of times for very few yards, it just wasn't going to happen. And to me, I think a combination of that and maybe Justin Herbert not having his best game really did cause the Chargers to drastically underperform in this one. Not to mention the special teams. The defense, again, had some issues. It really was a difficult one for Chargers fans to stomach this week. But if I had to really take a step back and say what happened? What happened in this game? The defense needs a lot of work, yes, especially versus the run, and we'll get into that in just a second. But the offense, I think I got to put it on them on this one. And a little bit on Justin Herbert, too. This doesn't mean Justin Herbert is bad by any means, okay? I don't want to see anybody, poking at Justin Herbert or me for having any sort of criticism on him. He can get better. He can. And he had an off day. And if you take a look at his career as a whole, every single game that he's played, from week 2 last season up until now, he's had very few performances like this. So we have to give him the benefit of the doubt that he is going to bounce back. Matter of fact, last year, the Chargers lost horribly. You guys remember this? I think this will bring up some familiar feelings. We lost horribly to the New England Patriots. They ran all over us, 40 bomb, all of the above. It sucked. It sucked as a Chargers fan to experience that. What did the Chargers and Justin Herbert do just after that? They went on like a 4-game winning streak, okay? So it tells me that Justin Herbert, he's got that veteran instinct of shake it off, come back and attack, right? Just flush that game away. Don't think about it. You're still the quarterback that won, rookie offensive player of the year last season. He's still in contention for MVP this year. He's got to shake it off and come back stronger after the bye week. Unfortunately for the Chargers, the bye week coming at a good time. So before we continue into the bye week, you guys let me know some of the things that worry you as far as signs that we saw in this game that the Chargers need to improve on. Now's a good opportunity to put that in the comment section as we talk about a bye week a little bit. Now, the bye week coming up next week, definitely a good opportunity for this team to sit back and regroup. Okay, they're going to have to, I think some people would say it's a humbling opportunity and experience. Definitely it can be, but I think more than anything, the bye week's coming at a really good opportune moment because you're able to see what's been working and what's not been working as a whole. The last game sucked, and we have a lot to learn from that game. But beyond that, there's been things that have not been great, even in games that we've won. And the run defense, probably number one, and special teams, probably number two, are things that the Chargers can take a step back and assess and say, what can we do right now to figure this out? The other reason I really liked the positioning, I would say, about the bye week in this season is that it's just before the trade deadline, right? So next week, the 24th, is our bye week, and then the week after that is the Sunday just before the trade deadline on the 2nd of November. And the Chargers really have to look in with themselves and say, what kind of team are we right now? At 4-2, with a bunch of our hardest games already out of the way, are we really a team that we think can take it far in the playoffs? Is it time for us to put down some of the capital that we've been saving since the offseason, some of the capital that we will have next season with Justin Herbert's rookie contract, and go pick up some pieces and some reinforcements? The Chargers will already be receiving some reinforcements in the terms of injured players returning. Just beyond what we lost last week with, Obushi and those guys, they're not coming back, unfortunately, and that sucks. But who knows what Brian Bulaga is up to? He had surgery a while back. Maybe he comes back a couple weeks after the bye week. Drew Tranquill, I think there was some hope that he would play. I'm thinking he's more than likely going to come back after the bye week. Kenneth Murray, these middle linebackers that we had such a problem with at depth, hopefully we get him back after the bye week. Kind of see what I'm saying here? The Chargers are going to get some reinforcements regardless of what happens. But being so close to the trade deadline, did they say to themselves, Chargers, this rushing attack or this rushing defense has been so bad that we really need to think about what we're doing as far as getting into the playoffs, making a run into the playoffs. So what can we do? What moves can we make in order to improve the team in that way? There have been rumors about Fletcher Cox. Honestly, he's so good. He's not as good as he was in the past. But I think the reason for the Eagles maybe wanting to move on from him is that he's got a pretty big contract. He's not living up to those expectations, but he's still a very good football player. I would say in the same light as Linval Joseph was to the Minnesota Vikings, right? Very, very good player, just not the player he was. Certainly a player that would help the Chargers. We talked a lot about Akeem Hicks from the Bears. The Chargers had trade, at least interest in the offseason to acquire him to help with the run defense. That would help a lot too. But I need to remind you guys that picking up an Akeem Hicks or a Fletcher Cox is not going to immediately solve this problem. Brandon Staley's going to need more time to sit and look and see what is wrong. Having these reinforcements in now, though, is very important. If you're going to make this move, you do it right now. Because you want time for these new players, let's say Akeem Hicks or whatever, to get adjusted and used to the scheme that Los Angeles has implemented, and give Brandon Staley time and figure out how to utilize these players in solving the problems that we're having versus the rushing attack. Additionally, on here I had the Chargers could make a move for maybe an offensive lineman. We're starting to see a weakness on the right side, especially the Ravens were very much so aggressively attacking that right side of the line. And then maybe another wideout. Thinking Brandon Cooks, add some speed to really get the most out of a Justin Herbert. that's something that the Chargers could certainly utilize at this point. Once again, I'm asking you guys in the comment section below, what are some reinforcements you would like to see the Chargers target as we come out of the bye week and get closer to the trade deadline? Let me know. The last thing I want to talk about, Chargers optimistically, these fans, us as a fan base. We really did go through a heartbreak on Sunday, but there is hope. Be mad today, bolt up tomorrow, because the future is bright. This first portion of the schedule was absolutely dreadful at the beginning of the season. I looked at this and thought, my God, if we make it out 3-3, that's a huge win. Chargers fans might not agree with that. They want to go 6-6, but at the same time, realistically, looking at the strength of schedule at the early portion of the year, this was dreadful. And then you know what? The Chargers made it out 4-2, and that's absolutely admirable. Washington, great team. Maybe not as good as we thought they were going to be, but still a good team. Lost to Dallas. Kansas City, of course, we go to Arrowhead. We beat them. That was a huge win. Vegas, we take them down while they're red hot. Cleveland Browns, 47-42. Put up so many points on perceivably one of the best defenses in the league. And then we got this crushing loss here versus Baltimore. But you know what? We regather, we regroup. We have a really good record going into the bye week. What happens after that? New England. They've been okay. They've been a middle pack team post Tom Brady. Mac Jones is a brand new young team. It's going to take them time to figure themselves out. I think the Chargers can win this one. Philadelphia Eagles. They're kind of a flip-floppy team. Kind of depends on how Jalen Hurts is performing in any given week. Still, I think they're in a situation where they're maybe not thinking playoffs. I think the Chargers definitely have an edge over them. Minnesota Vikings. Probably the one I'm maybe the most worried about. Dalvin Cook could single-handedly win that game. Other than that, I think the Chargers are a more complete and talented team. Pittsburgh Steelers. Not the Steelers of old. They've been struggling tremendously. Denver Broncos. Broncos, for whatever reason, have our number at least once a season. I'm hoping that's not the case this year. I would love to sweep them. But let's say at Mile High, we drop one. Nah, that sucks. Cincinnati Bengals. I think we can take them. We can match their energy on offense. I don't think they can match, our aggressiveness on defense. I think we can take them there. New York Giants. I think, honestly, we can take them as well. Kansas City Chiefs. We've already proven we can take them. This time we play them at home. We can't underestimate them. But I think, honestly, we sweep the Chiefs. We're into the playoffs. I think that's possible. I'm not going to say win or loss in this game because it could go either way given how bad their defense is this season, but still a winnable game. Houston Texans. I don't even have to say anything. I think that's a win. Denver Broncos, I think we win at least once. And then the Vegas Raiders, I think we can sweep. I honestly do think we can sweep. What is that going to all come up to or all add up to at the end of the season? By my mark, and this is me spitballing here, I did this with you guys on the live stream yesterday. That puts the Chargers at like 14-3. That's pretty freaking good. Do we lose just one game the rest of the season? We'll probably lose a couple more, right? Maybe 13-4 is a little bit more accurate, but at the same time, just given the strength of schedule for the rest of the season, 14-3 is actually not too far out of the realm of possibilities. The Chargers are getting to a point where this portion of their schedule should equivalent to some sort of run. They should go on some sort of victory streak. And I think it's going to happen very, very soon. And I think, again, the strength of schedule versus the early part of the schedule proves that these remaining opponents, be them dangerous because they are professional NFL teams, aren't going to be as brutal as the first portion of the schedule. And I think we can take them. I think we can win every single one of these games if we have to. I think we're going to drop maybe a couple of them, but the Chargers, again, I gave them an early record prediction of like 11-6. I think that's absolutely possible. But more optimistically, with the kind of schedule we're seeing late in the season, I honestly think 14 wins isn't out of the realm of possibility. And that's absolutely insane. The 4-2 Chargers, what they've done in the early part of their schedule, proves to me, and it makes me optimistic that that's absolutely possible. So to wrap up this video, and last question in the comment section below for you guys, what do you think, given the schedule so far, the wins and losses so far, what do you think the record's going to be for the Chargers at the end of the season? Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. This has been The Director. If you did like this content, hit us up to like us up on your way out. I'm going to focus on feeling better so we can attack this bye week opportunity with everything we got to see how the Chargers can improve on themselves for the later half of the season. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. This has been The Director. We'll see you next time. And as always, bolt up and stay frosty.